Hello and welcome to The Entrepreneurs on Monocle Radio, the show all about inspiring people, innovative companies and fresh ideas in global business. I'm Chris Lord, guest hosting, stepping in for our Tom Edwards, who's a little under the weather this week. And it's ironic because in a cruel twist of fate, today's programme is all about the lifelong pursuit of wellbeing. Wellness, from the critical first steps to ensuring comfort and vitality in later years. First up, we'll meet the CEO of the baby formula company, helping families enjoy healthy, happy times in babyhood and infancy.
By definition of disruption, you got to change the way things are working in its place. There was lots of learnings along the way, but it's part of our journey, and now we just wear that badge.
And later, we'll head to a medical spa in Italy that promises solutions for living better and longer.
Along this corridor are located the medical clinics where for most of today my health will be analysed.
This is The Entrepreneurs with me, Chris Lord. You're listening to The Entrepreneurs. Now, Laura Modi is the co-founder and CEO of Bobby, an organic infant formula company that she started in 2018. Bobby set up shop in the basement of her home in San Francisco after a successful career in leadership roles at Airbnb and Google. The business was born from Laura's personal frustration with the lack of high-quality, trusted formula options for parents, options that are free from judgment, fully transparent, and supportive of every feeding journey. Within a year of its official launch, Bobby became the fastest-growing infant formula company to enter the US market since the 1980s. Tom Edwards caught up with Laura to hear how she overcame the inherent challenges that come with an often stigmatised product and how you set about disrupting such an industry. She began by telling us about the start of the journey.
I always say this now, where if I went back and it was just the product that I wasn't happy with, I don't know if I would have gotten into this. It was the fact that the product needed to be up-leveled and changed. We needed to hold it to a higher bar, but coupled with the fact that it was heavily stigmatized and that the cultural narrative around it was pretty negative, that there wasn't acceptance of this widely used product. The silent majority of those that were turning to formula felt guilty, ashamed, embarrassed. So it needed a pretty big cultural change, probably more so than the product itself.
Now, new parents in particular are rightly obsessive about the quality and the efficacy of products, but they also want to feel they're using something that maybe helps make a stronger family unit. If mum's happier and less stressed, the family unit is better. It's not just these old absolutes, breast is best and so on. If everyone's happy, that's better for everyone, including baby. So how do you set about making sure you sort of bake that narrative, Laura, into your products as well? It's not easy, presumably.
No, it's not. And, it's one of those products that you do have to be somewhat careful about as well, because everyone's feeding journey is very different. A lot of people are actually combo feeding and they're doing both. So on one side, you want to be able to show that formula can shine on its own, while at the same time, never alienating also breastfeeding and breast milk, by which I also believe is dynamic. It is liquid gold. It's more personal than anything you'll ever come across. And yet, just because it happens to be best doesn't mean that everyone can do it. But it's a very challenging narrative to make sure that you land well. How do you make sure that you're making people feel seen and recognized, feel supported, and at the same time not alienated in some of their other choices? I actually think the secret sauce of really nailing how do you approach changing culture and changing narratives, I also think just comes down to representation. And every single person who was at that storyboarding session determining how our voice would show up, how bold we were going to be, how we are for all feeding journeys, every single person around the table was feeding their own baby in all different ways. We were representing the modern parent in many ways.
Yeah, I love that. And, once you've done it a few times, there is no one size fits all. I think that's safe to say. And now, Laura, you mentioned the scrutiny of products for babies, young children. And of course, Bobby's had its own challenges on that front, right? We go back to 2019. the FDA issues, which to my mind seemed slightly out of step with where you were and what you were trying to do as a business. But as it turned out, one might say as a result of that, in fact, well, you did. You secured new partners and backers, perhaps because of the dexterity with which you handled it. So, well, I wouldn't ask, was it a good thing in the end? But do you think that despite the scrutiny and the setbacks, actually it did help you to make a business that was even better and even more future-proof?
I now look at that moment as a badge of honor. It probably goes down as, the first chapter of the heroine journey of Bobby. You cannot disrupt any industry without having some rebel moments. And also, by definition of disruption, you got to change the way things are working in its place. So, yeah, we had to kind of take a path less traveled. That path wasn't really seen as the best path, according to the FDA. And we had to course correct. There was lots of learnings along the way, but I don't play hindsight very much. You know what? It's part of our journey, and now we just wear that badge.
Let's talk about the hero product. We know you overcame setbacks along the way, but you now have, I think I'm right in saying, the fastest growing infant formula company in the US. Congratulations for that. Tell me about how you did this by integrating the European approach to formula, if you like, on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, it was about designing both the recipe and our choice of ingredients in many ways to mimic that, very similar to European formulas. And the inspiration behind a lot of it was, back 8-10 years ago, which I can't even believe I'm saying it was that far away, there was a huge black market for European infant formula here in the US. Parents were packing suitcases full of European formulas and bringing them over to the US. And I remember even before I had a kid hearing about this thinking, that's wild. I mean, you're essentially talking about milk. People putting milk in suitcases because they wanted something of higher standard from somewhere else, or at least the belief it was. And they were willing to pay a markup and have it shipped in 5,000 miles away. That's obscene. And whenever there's a black market, there's often an opportunity to disrupt itself as well. So in large part, I think the entering into the market with our flagship product was to say, hey, by the way, that quality and those standards and that recipe can also be something we can make here at home in the US. One should not have to fly product milk in from 5,000 miles away just to get that quality. And that has been the focus, local supply chains, fewer miles to travel, but the quality that everyone was using on the black market.
This is one of those businesses where the acid test is consumer endorsement, right? And mums, dads, families, everyone that you speak to when they're using the product and it's working for them. Tell me what that's like, Laura, because I guess for all the gold standards that can be applied by watchdogs or regulators, there must be an almost sort of unmatchable significant moment when someone comes to you and says, look, this made this really tough time easier, or, I finally feel like I'm doing a better job feeding my baby. Can you put into words for us, Laura, what's that like to hear that?
I feel even speechless just even hearing you ask the question, because there is nothing more rewarding than getting those those love letters that demonstrate your impact. You can see your growth going up in a chart, but nothing compares to that love letter. That love letter that says, my baby was finally able to digest your product, finally pooped for the first time in 2 weeks. I've been able to sleep. Just the love and reaction then to our brand and our message, and the fact that we've given them peace of mind for putting out a safe, high quality product. I mean, truly nothing beats it. Nothing. We have a Slack channel in the company called Bobby Love Letters. And every day, whether it's customer service or through social media DMs, the team will go in and add new love letters that come through. And I don't use letter lightly. These aren't, 2-sentence quotes saying, I love your product. These are long declarations of parents being besotted with finding Bobby. It's one of the best parts about doing this job.
Where can this journey go, Laura, do you think? Why stop at being number 3? Could you be number 1? Can you sort of take this product to the masses? I know you've already made commitments about trying to deliver lower prices, for example, really shaking up the whole marketplace. But where does the story go next?
Infant formula is not like any other product. I went into it in many ways as an activist mother myself. I looked at this product and I saw so many problems with the way it was being sold, created by large pharmaceutical companies, government contracts to bid over states. And in many ways, it wasn't just the product, it was the entire ecosystem around it that needed to change, including accessibility for everyone. I really want to underscore that because we need to develop a high quality product that has the highest level of safety and nutrition, and it should not just be accessed by those of a certain income level at a premium end. We should be able to get to the place where this high quality nutrition is affordable and accessed by all. Now, obviously, I say that, but as a CEO, you're also dealing with the balance sheet of trying to deliver on that quality and the cost of what it takes. So one of the commitments we made a few years ago was we needed to figure out a way to reduce our costs without ever compromising on quality. And one of the ways you do that is by fully integrating your business. So we bought a manufacturing facility. It cost a little penny, but in 2 short years later, after fully investing and integrating it, we were then able to start seeing that the cost of making the product, because we owned end-to-end production, end-to-end quality, we actually got to see some cost improvements. We actually made a very deliberate decision at the end of last year to pass those cost savings over to our customers in hopes really to make it more accessible.
Now, as a female founder and a self-described activist mother, what have you made of these recent pronouncements about this need for masculine energy in the boardroom? I mean, presumably you're as depressed as we all were to hear that. But do you sort of think, Laura, actually, look, I've got the experience directly with a really brilliant business that actually it flies in the face of all that kind of thing?
Yeah. Oy, oy, oy. Where do I start? Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story, actually. Speaking of masculinity, I was in a conversation with someone there last week just about kind of this rise of masculinity, and someone at the table subtly turned and she goes, well, there's nothing more masculine than having a baby. I loved the visual and I loved the reminder for everyone in the room on just, and I think more as a metaphor for what masculinity is being defined as. And then you think what we as mothers and what we're trailblazing in and what we're are fighting for. Yeah, maybe there is nothing more masculine than that. But here's how I feel. Maybe this has been over the years of building Bobby and also going through things like a national shortage, women's rights being questioned, fighting for things like paid family leave, which is just shocking that we still don't have. My belief is that the society by which you live in and the culture around you, it'll constantly change, constantly. But no matter what happens, the power of mothers and the power of communities who care so deeply about something can fight through that. And I think the next few years is just fuel for those communities and the power of mothers to rise to something greater.
When you're talking to your 4 kids about your work, Laura, well, probably not the 10-month-old, not just yet perhaps, when they say, what do you do? What do you do, mummy? What do you tell them?
So hold on. I'm Irish, so I story tell everything. So let me take you to a story. It was sometime last year. I was at a board meeting in San Francisco. I live in DC. And I decided to call home on FaceTime to the nanny to say hi to the kids on my way to the board meeting. And on the phone, and Mary, my eldest daughter, she was like, Mom, where are you? And I was like, Mary, I'm working. I'm sorry. I'll be home in a few days. But you know what I do? I feed babies. And she sighs and she goes, but Mommy, we're your babies. Come home and feed us. And my heart broke. I was like, oh, she got it. But my God, did she hit the heartstrings. Anyway, fast forward a few days later, I go home and I go into her and she must have been thinking about it. It must have played on her. And she turns to me and she goes, Mommy, those babies are so lucky to have you. And It's just such a reminder. I mean, obviously, they know milk. They see me feed their siblings. We talk about formula a lot. I bring them to Target to see the can on the shelf. Mary likes to call herself the founder because she came up with the name. So they get it. They get it. But still, there's trade-offs. It's very hard to build a company like this and also not make trade-offs in your life, which are very hard.
Laura, as the leader of this business, how do you sort of marry up the challenges of just dealing with, today's problems, having to be across those, with keeping across the key strategic considerations 5-10 years from now?
Look, I hope in the next 3 to 5 years, we're feeding 10 to 15% of babies here in the US, and with the ability to continue to grow. Now, I do want to underscore, I often get asked the question, it's like, well, why not more? Why not grow your sights on something bigger? And one of the things we've noticed, and especially for an industry and product like this, is that concentration is not great. Choice is really important. And if there's anything this industry can do, which I really hope to be part of that change and impact, is we need to see policies get introduced that invite more bobbies into the world, more manufacturers, more innovation. And yes, I think Bobby's growth and expansion can be in the world of other products, and we can expand beyond that. But I think for the world of infant formula, I want to see it turned upside down and properly reformed, where families really have choice.
That was Laura Modi, the CEO and co-founder of Bobby, talking to Tom Edwards. You can find out more by heading to hibobby.com. From first steps to making strides towards longevity, a longer life, it's become something of a buzzword, driving the growth of $1 trillion wellness industry. In Italy, home to one of the world's so-called blue zones, those regions of the world where people somehow just seem to live longer, healthier lives, the award-winning Lucia Magnani Health Clinic is embracing technology. By combining advanced medical diagnostics with historic thermal waters, it aims to enhance quality of life. But could it even extend lifespans? Georgia Scaturo sent us this report.
Surrounded by velvety green hills just at the foot of the Apennines, Castrocaro Terme is one of the most exquisite Italian thermal capitals, just an hour from Bologna. This salsoiodic spring has been renowned for centuries for its therapeutic waters. Now, this medieval town is at the forefront of innovative scientific formulas to make our lives better and longer. We are here standing in front of the imposing Lucia Magnani Health Clinic, a 19th century architecture with rational geometries reminiscent of the fascist era. Benito Mussolini was in fact born only a few miles from this thermal complex, where he used to take his family and collaborators. Today, in this sophisticated medical center and luxury grand hotel, longevity is taken a step further. Let's get in.
Good morning. Welcome to Lucia Magnani Health Clinic. My name is Laura Muccioli. I am an angel and I will be supporting you on your journey discovering longevity.
Laura describes herself as an angel. In fact, this is what reads on her tag. It's already a good beginning. Inside this award-winning MediWellness resort is a sanctuary of elegance, relaxation and medical knowledge. Supported by the Italian healthcare holding GVM, for the past 15 years, Lucia Magnani has been developing her unique long-life formula that combines pampering treatments, AI fitness and nutrition methods with specialized medical examinations. It's very early in the morning and I'm now heading to reception to start my anti-aging test, the beginning of my long life formula treatments.
Hello, good morning. Today we start with antioxidative stress. I will take you to the room.
Along this corridor are located the medical clinics where for most of today my health will be analysed. Here we have the profile blood test, nutrition and posture, thyroid, ultrasound, color Doppler, I will test the innovative scientific longevity formula that was developed by Lucia Magnani. Oh, and here is the doctor herself. Buongiorno, dottoressa.
Buongiorno, benvenuta. Facciamo una cosa questa mattina molto importante, un check sulla salute.
It all starts with an in-depth health checkup, says Lucia Magnani, a biochemist turned entrepreneur.
Questo metodo si basa sullo stress ossidativo.
Our main enemy is oxidative stress, which she explains is an excess of free radicals in our bodies that damages our cells and causes premature aging.
Aggrediscono le cellule, i tessuti e provocano un invecchiamento precoce.
So here, in a clinic, they're focusing on how to fight oxidative stress, an imbalance that can also lower our immune system.
Trattamenti estetici, beauty, lo sport.
The formula is complemented with a personalized diet, exercise, and regenerating beauty treatments and massages.
Voi vi troverete rigenerate.
The king technology here is a sophisticated magnetic resonance machine to predict our chances to develop silent illnesses like cancer or heart attacks in the next 5 years. I'm inside the Diagnostic Prevention and Prediction Center, and I'm about to test a new predictive full-body MRI scan.
Signora, guarda, whole body.
This new technology of MRI test will last for about an hour. To describe it as a giant white donut might help as I am going in.
Okay?
Sure.
C'è una coronale.
I'm just out this sophisticated and very loud tunnel. Feels like being in a Star Wars movie, except lying down. But the question is, what can this machine predict?
We use DWI, diffusion weighted imaging, that it's very sensitive to the variation of the movement of the water molecules in the tissue. And this is very important for understand if we have some kind of hypercellularity, that is a first kind of problem in the cancer.
What's the novelty of this method of diagnostics?
You don't have some kind of radiation because we use the similar radio frequency used in phone, for example. We don't have some kind of ionization radiation, for example, as in X-ray or in CT traditional methods. This is very safe for the patient.
Medical tech is only the most recent development in Castrocaro, where the path of longevity is gentle and relaxing, still centered on the original magic waters that smell like rotten eggs but have therapeutic powers.
They are called throughout the history the magic waters because of their mineral principles and the beneficial principles on the health, on the body, on the venous and lymphatic system. The minerals inside this water are mostly sulfur, sodium iodide, chloride, and bromide. The smell comes from these components.
A waterfall of thermal water springs from two monoliths of black granite that stand at the center of this exquisite Art Deco swimming pool, stylish mosaics and black marbles. And here is the wow factor. The water in the pool is bright green for the presence of chlorophyll-rich microalgae that have a beneficial effect on the skin that in fact feels very velvety. Longevity is now a trendy word, and with estimates that by 2050 the global population over 60 will double to 2 billion, long living is both a challenge for healthcare systems and an opportunity for the global wellness economy. A business valued nearly $6 trillion in 2022, projected to grow to over $8 trillion by 2027. But here, Dr. Marco De Angelis is ringing a longevity alert.
There's a problem in the sense of living longer. It's worse in the sense that we are going to live for a longer time, but with a longer period being ill. This is not good.
So what can we do?
We are too much confident on technology, on science. They can help to understand better what's going on in our body, but we are too confident on it. I have to work on my old age when I'm young.
We start with a drink, is one infused with apple, blueberry, ginger and mint.
I'm Yolanda Bertarelli, and I'm a member of the scientific staff here at the Lucia Magnani Health Clinic.
What is the most powerful weapon to fight aging?
Maintain an equilibrium between antioxidants and free radicals. So in every kind of food, we have different kind of antioxidants. It's important to eat a small amount of every kind of antioxidant every day.
I'm sneaking into the kitchen and here's the chef. Hello.
Hello, my name is Marco Puletu. I cook for Long Life Formula.
What are we cooking today?
The artichoke, carrot soup.
This is lentils with some rosemary and olive oil, but it looks really little as a portion.
Ok, 60 di polpo, un altro 10 di risotto.
This is grams.
Grams, yes.
So 10 grams of rice.
Exactly.
Are you not going to be hungry after 10 grams of rice open it?
Because if you eat in this order, you don't have hungry when you finish.
Technology meets traditional well-being in perfect harmony here. And at the end of our longevity journey, we of course ask Lucia Magnani to share a secret for a long-lasting life.
Per vivere a lungo bisogna vivere anche meglio.
To live longer, we must live better. And what is very important is a slower mode of living,
Il vivere slow.
where taking care of ourselves is part of our daily routine. Sounds utopic in the real frenetic world?
Beh, sicuramente non è facile.
For sure, it's not easy to jump off a fast merry-go-round, she says. But all of us can have a more balanced management of our lives with prevention, diet, exercise.
Forme di equilibrio.
We must never forget about ourselves.
Non dobbiamo dimenticarci di noi stessi.
For Monocle Radio in Castrocaro Terme and Terra del Sole, I am Giorgia Scaturro.
My thanks to Georgia there for that report from Italy. And you can find out more by heading to luciamagnanihealthclinic.it. And that's it for this episode of The Entrepreneurs. We'll be back next week. And Tom Edwards, fear not, will be back in the studio and at the helm. In the meantime, do look out for Eureka, which is available every Friday. The Entrepreneurs was produced by Laura Kramer with audio editing by Jack Dewars. Listen again and find out more about The Entrepreneurs at monocle.com. That's where you can subscribe to Monocle magazine for more about how to run a better business every month. You can follow us and catch up with the archive via your preferred podcast platform. And to contact the Entrepreneurs team, maybe you've got a burning story of your own success, you can email Laura at lrk@monocle.com. I'm Chris Lord. Goodbye and thanks for listening.